We have also decided that it will not going to be business as usual. We have these meetings, Africa, US meeting, Africa, Europe, Africa, Turkey, Africa,
India.
Now we are waiting for, there is another one, Africa, Russia.
And Africa, Japan.
And Africa, Japan. We have made the decision that it is not intelligent for 54 of us to go and sit before one gentleman from another place. And I mean, and sometimes we are mistreated.
Yeah.
You know, we are loaded into buses like school kids. You know, and it's not right.
Well, you are summoned. You know,
it's not right.
Yeah, and I think there's something about the optics of FOCAC that are so different than other African engagements in Europe and the United States in particular. We've seen a lot of Africa Plus One summits this past year, and Geraud, this was a topic that we talked about a lot. We have the famous bus incident in Buckingham Palace. Remember in the UK where all of the African leaders were kind of, and they weren't just African leaders, by the way, other leaders had to ride buses too. But there was a lot of indignity about African leaders being put together on a bus, and people said they look like school children being ferried around. We saw at the 2022 U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit that Biden met with groups of African leaders at one time and did not hold bilaterals. And yet in Beijing, you saw the pomp and circumstance and the fanfare that each African leader came to the Great Hall of the People in their own Hongqi motorcade. Hongqi is the Chinese limousine cars. And just the ceremony that the Chinese bring to it is on an order of magnitude different than what they get in other capitals. And Cobus, I thought you were going to say something else. I thought you were going to talk about the consistency of FOCAC, and that here we are every 3 years, no matter what, pandemics or otherwise, this thing happens. And so that is something that also stands apart. We, of course, do not know when the next U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit is ever going to take place. Congress is trying to formalize that in law, that there is a...
Every 2 years, something like that.
Yeah, but again, it hasn't happened, though. So, you know, and we don't know what this Congress is going to be able to do with the Trump administration coming in. So that consistency, I think, was also very important. Geraud, I'm going to give you the last word on FOCAC before we move on.
The last word would be talking about scandals and the buses and everything. And this is one of those more scandals that went almost undetected, but I've seen that in different parts of African Twitters. Talking about the buses, shocked by the fact that when President landed in Beijing, where they did not take the cars from the airports to where they were going, because at some point they had to take the bus, a Cobus bus.
A Cobus bus. That's the airport buses, you know, that we all have to take out on the tarmac. And William Ruto, you know, he took a Cobus bus.
Exactly. Many of them were shocked. Why they're taking bus? Why they don't take cars over there?
I know.
For me, it was like just funny in so many ways, because I realized that people would want to be frustrated or, you know, hurt by anything. And those are the small scandals for me that were, since you mentioned scandal, and like, yeah.
That was, for me, a curious thing, because the Chinese, who are so obsessed with protocol and optics on this, have this red carpet. They've got the honor guard. They've got the band.
Yeah,
there.
they give them everything.
Everything's there. And then they make you take the same bus that you and I have to take when we get hauled out to an airport. Why not have a Mercedes waiting for...
No.
know?
They just took this is the point. They just took the bus from the airplane to the salon, and where they took the car.
But Geraud, you've clearly not flown business class very often, because oftentimes business class passengers get taken in an Audi from the plane to the terminal. And like the head of state doesn't get driven from the plane to the terminal in a black sedan is just, to me, curious, because when you see Ruto coming off the Cobus bus, Cobus, you must get this all the time, the Cobus bus, you just think to yourself, wow, you know, it's like, it reminds me of these, you know, in the fashion magazines, they'll say, you know, the celebrities, they're just like us. When they ride the Cobus bus, I'm like, wow, they're just like us riding the Cobus bus.
Let me add something. It's eco-friendly at the end. Because this is the point. It's eco-friendly. And I get the people who want to be, you know, feel special, having a limousine, having that. But at the same time, it's those small, tiny issues that we should not be paying attention to.
It's fair enough. But let me assure you that when Vladimir Putin arrives in Beijing, he does not take the Cobus bus when he gets off the plane.
He surely brings his own car, though.
Whatever it is, I think there's a certain hierarchy in who gets the Cobus bus and who gets the Hongqi from the plane, is my guess.